At Boar's Head, we place a premium on authenticity, and the home-roasted flavor of our Ever-Roast chicken is no exception. Inspired by a medley of ingredients from the garden, a family recipe, and slow-roasted craft. It's the authentic taste of home and the unmatched quality of Boar's Head. Ever-Roast chicken, sliced fresh at the deli, only from Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere.
You're tuning in to the Goldilocks presentation of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony Rodriguez, aka Walking Crow, found transformational energy healing through a personal search into healing and was transformed by this experience. He made the decision to pursue training and has since become a certified energy healing practitioner with an emphasis on working with clients in recovery from addiction. His willingness to be open and listen has allowed him to be of service to many who seek a peaceful, serene, and healthier body, mind, and spirit. Call in now if you would like to speak with Anthony. The call-in number is 713-955-0332. Enjoy this transformational and healing show.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another Tuesday edition of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and I'm your host. And wow, what an incredible week it's been. What an incredible weekend. We're well into the third day of this week, Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. And if you're out there doing the taco thing on Tuesday, right on. Go out and get yourself some. All right. Well, today we're going to be talking about recovery and the fragile ego. When does the person in recovery stop thinking only of themselves? Letting go of the ego in recovery. And I'm talking about this subject because I am surrounded by addicts and alcoholics everywhere, and a lot of them are sober, and a lot of them are clean, and a lot of them are in recovery. But I hear a lot of craziness out there coming from them, and I experience that stuff, and I'm like, wow, how come, I experience my sobriety different than other folks, and maybe there's something wrong with me, I see people with bumper stickers that say, sober and crazy and things like that. And I got to tell you, I didn't get sober and stay sober for 25 years just to be crazy. Because if I knew I was going to be crazy after 25 years of sobriety, or even after a year of sobriety, I could just go drink. I could be crazy drunk. So you know what I mean? And I also, something that stuck with me earlier this week, there's somebody that I personally know who's been in and out of recovery for quite a long time. And one more time, they have 30-some days. Congratulations to them. But they seem to spend a lot of time on social media talking about things they don't have any idea about, and they don't even know what they're talking about. And when you're in early recovery, it's best to be listening. And I'm an old timer, but I'm not a crusty old timer. I'm not one of those people that says you should take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth. But this is a case of that. She should actually take the cotton out of her ears and put it in her mouth and stop talking, and she should start listening to people who have recovery, who have stayed sober, who have long-term sobriety, and who are focused on being in recovery, and not just being in recovery, but taking recovery and living recovery in their life, in their everyday life, not just being in the rooms of whatever anonymous and acting the fool in there. And I got to tell you, I go to a lot of meetings, and in a lot of meetings that I go to, there's a lot of poison that's being spread in those meetings, People walk in all the time and they say, man, I had to run to a meeting today. I needed a meeting. Well, really, what are you not doing in your life that you have to run to meetings and you have to do things that, you have to call your sponsor, you're desperate. What is that caught in the headlights, a deer caught in the headlights look that you have on your face, and why? Hi, human, and that's what I want to talk about today: recovery and the fragile ego. Man, and I'm not speaking and saying these things because I don't know what I'm talking about. I've got 25 years of recovery. I've got 25 years of walking through life in the raw I've been married 3 times. I've had multiple jobs. I've had to deal with unemployment. I've been sick. I've had people die in my life. I had people who have gone out in my life and gotten loaded. I have people who, my life has just gone on for me. And guess what? I have not had cause or reason to go out and drink or smoke some dope or shoot some dope or whatever it is that people think they need to, or eat a bag of chips, that too, like down in ice cream. Those are things that we don't have to do. We don't have to do. You can actually stay sober and walk through life without the sky falling. You don't have to live the life of Chicken Little in sobriety. And many people in the rooms of alcoholics, whatever, and narcotics, whatever, and marijuana, whatever, and cocaine anonymous, whatever, and how they live their lives in the way of Chicken Little. The sky is always falling. When do you find peace? When do you find serenity? When do you find recovery? Those 3 sides of that triangle. When do you find that? And how do you find that? I have a sponsor that I've had the same sponsor for almost 26 years. And one of the things that Dave says to me, and his name is Dave, just like 2001 Space Odyssey, Dave. And he says, you're one of the easiest guys. I'm one of the easiest guys that he sponsors because, I do what's necessary. I don't sit in the problem. I find a solution to the problem. My solution to my problem today isn't a 6-pack of whatever, isn't a pint of whatever, isn't an ounce of whatever. It's none of those things. It's none of those things. It's recovery. It's being in my body and learning how to stand in the fire because I know the fire is going to be over soon. I hope. And this too shall pass, the saying goes. This too shall pass. So recovery and the fragile ego, when does the person in recovery stop thinking only of themselves, letting go of the ego in recovery? Now, you can call in today, and I would love it if people called in, especially those my friends in recovery, because they're probably going to be a little ticked off at me because I like to talk about this kind of stuff, and I like to shake up the box. And am I bothering you? I hope I am, because I'm about recovery. I'm about healing. This show is about healing. If you want to learn how to heal from your fragile ego and your fragile mind and your fragile state of being, listen to this show because I can walk you through that. Or you can call me and have a session with me. Or you can have a personal one-on-one with me. Or come to one of my workshops and you can learn how I walk through daily life without falling apart at the seams. I hope. You're like Oogie Woogie in the night before Christmas, nightmare before Christmas, when he unravels and comes apart and he's full of worms and bugs and things. I am not full of worms and bugs and things. I'm not the Oogie Boogie. Anyways, so 713-955-0332 is the call-in number. Push 1 to talk to your host, me, Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Coral on the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. All right, so sobriety has been, and I'll be the first to say, has not always been easy, but it's not always been tough. And I have to tell you, sobriety has really served me the last few months, especially going to meetings and reaching out to people and working with others through my most recent divorce, which is going to be over in August. But I'm not looking towards August to the end of my divorce. I'm working right here, right now, sitting in front of a microphone, sitting in front of an iMac, sitting in contact, in connection with my producer, the lovely Tiffany White Sage Woman, the Reverend Tiffany White Sage Woman. And I'm in contact with you, and I'm in my second chakra, and I'm in my fifth chakra, I'm in my voice and my heart, and I have plenty to say on this subject. You knew what I was laughing at. Anyways, so call in 713-955-0332 and tell us about your experience in sobriety, or do you have any experience in sobriety? Because I think the people that have the least amount of actual experience in sobriety are the ones that do the most talking. You know what I mean? They're the most evasive. They're the ones that that don't know how to avoid the deliberate manufacture of misery. They're always creating misery in their own lives and the lives of others. And speaking of which, yesterday I saw something on social media, Facebook as a matter of fact. A friend of mine named Brian, who I've known forever, he's from Boston, Southie as a matter of fact. He posted a picture, a photo of his student ID for Pierce College, and it made me proud because I know that a lot of his time in college is spent in and out of jails and behind bars, and I'm really proud to see Brian reaching out for himself and connecting to himself and doing something for himself and going to school and maybe changing his life for a better, for a good. I hope. You know, what is it that you want to do today to change your life? What is it that you want to do today to improve your life? What is it that you want to do to heal from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body? I hope. What is it that you want to do to recover or transform from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body? I hope. That's right out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I got a million of them. I know that big book inside and out, and I use things to my advantage when it comes to the healing that I do for myself, just like I use verses from the Bible. I always reference things that are in the book. In the big book, and I was quoted saying this on Sunday, lack of power is my dilemma. And if you're in recovery, and if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, or you're not in recovery, you know, lack of power is your dilemma, and that's what you're going to have to understand. You have no power, even though when you think you do. You know, it's not your foot that stops the car. It's the brakes and the tires and the centrifugal force that stops the car, not you. You know, you just happen to be lucky to hit the right pedal if you're loaded. Anyway, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to have a wonderful show. And there's some things that I want to bring to your attention because I've got a pretty big calendar coming up. And this Saturday, where am I going to be? I don't even know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be at the Center for Spiritual Living from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're going to be at the Metaphysical and Artisan Fair at the Center for Spiritual Living at 4845 Dunsmore Avenue in La Crescenta, California, 91214. There is going to be an amazing array of healers, an amazing array of vendors, an amazing array of people just working and living in the metaphysical world. How do you want to heal? How do you want to transform? How do you want to change? I wish Reverend Tiffany, Sage Woman, was going to be here because I know she's got a big bag of tricks and she pulls from all sides, and she's a pretty amazing person and pretty amazing healer in and of herself, I hope. And you can tell that, you know that, but because she runs this Goldilocks Productions and she allows us to do what we do. That's right. So Metaphysical and Artisan Fair on Saturday, this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come on out. We're going to have a raffle as well. All the vendors and healers are contributing or donating something, and you can, for $1, I think for $5, you can get 6 chances at winning a prize. And it could be a healing, it could be a tarot reading, it could be a crystal, it could be just about anything. It could even be a tie-dye T-shirt, because I think those people are going to be here as well. All right. So what else do I have going on? June 18th, Father's Day, the Healing the Masculine Soul with Anthony J. Rodriguez, Walking Crow. And this is going to take place, where is this going to take place? This is going to take place at the Imagine Center in Tarzana, California, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Imagine Center, Sunday, June 18th. And you can go on to my Facebook page for that event, and you can go to www.theimaginecenter.com to get your tickets. It's $25. And this is a gift that I hope that mothers and girlfriends and sisters and mothers and cousins and friends would give to the man in their life, healing the masculine soul. Because there's a lot of healing that needs to be done and that should be done. And sometimes we don't even know that it needs to be done. I've always talked about being emotionally castrated as young boys and young men. And we grow up and not knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to be in our bodies, not knowing how to be in our voice. not knowing how to talk to the women that we love in our lives, and almost seeming like they're our enemy. And we don't do that on purpose. You know, Oof. Oof. That emotion just came over me. We don't do that on purpose. We have our emotions taken away from us, and they take good young men and at the age of 17 and 18 and sometimes make them soldiers and send them into battle. And these people, you know, they kill because that's what they're paid to do. That's what they're drafted to do, to go out and kill and do what's necessary. I think that's to do what's necessary. And then they come back and they're in a way that they don't know how to be in their body, they don't know how to be in their soul. You know, we don't know how to communicate with each other, much less communicate with women and try to be in relationships. But this event, and I'm not somebody who can do this in a perfect way, but I have stepped into my voice and I have stepped into my soul and I have stepped into my feet and moving forward and changing my life. You can too. Heal the Masculine Soul, June 18th at 11 a.m., $25 at the Imagine Center in Tarzana. Check it out. Look us up. It's going to be another great event. All right. So let's get back to the subject at hand. You know, we're talking about recovery and the fragile ego and when you're going to come into your recovery and stop, you know, trying, you know, 713-955-0332. I'm on fire today. I'm like, I took a nap before I did this show today. I got a nice shower. I took a nice shave, and I feel good. There's no one here looking at how pretty I am and how good I smell. But, you know, here I am and sitting in front of this microphone, and, boy, I'm on fire today, and I'm excited. So recovery, you know, when I was sent to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was sent to Alcoholics Anonymous 26 years ago, almost 26 years ago. In January, it'll be 26 years ago, by Judge Michael Knight of Division 101 Muni Court in Van Nuys, California. You know, I've been in that courtroom many times to pay a ticket or to, you know, to do whatever, you know, take care of any dumb thing that I did. But this is the thing that I couldn't get out of. I got pulled over one night during Christmas. I got a DUI. One more time I was behind the wheel, intoxicated, and rightly so, I was arrested and taken to jail. And Judge Michael Knight sentenced me to $350 fine, community service, both of which I got out of, those two things. And he also sentenced me to 26 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous through the Council of Alcoholism in Van Nuys as well. And so I had to get this little court card signed for 26 meetings, but a funny thing happened to me along the way. A funny thing happened to me while I was in my chicken littledom, you know, while the sky was falling. A funny thing happened, you know, between the time I left that courthouse and today. I went to those 26 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and on day 27, I walked through the door again. Did you hear what I said? On day 27, I walked through the door again. Now, my obligation to the courts and to society had been taken care of, had been squashed, had been expunged. I was done. You know, I didn't have to give society anything else, but I knew that I needed to give myself something else, and I knew that I wanted to give society something else because I am society. I'm a part of society, even though I think that I'm a separate from sometimes. I'm apart from. I'm not. I hope. So I walked into day 27, and, you know, I still have, you know, and when I got my 30-day chip, I still have that chip. You know, I was very proud. I was in tears. I couldn't even remember my name when I took that chip. Now, I didn't know if I was going to stay sober any amount of time or not, and I didn't know if it was even important to stay sober or what it meant to be sober. Why would anybody stop drinking? Because all I ever knew was drinking. I drank for 20 years. My father was a drunk. He never got sober. My father died, you know, with that ism. And as I got my 30-day chip and my 60-day chip and my 90-day chip and then my 6-month and my 9-month chip, and there actually is a 9-month chip, and my sponsor gave that to me. And then I took a 1-year cake, you know, and I learned something at 1 year. Actually, I learned it before. But at 1 year, when they put that candle on that cake, I saw that light. I wasn't just looking at the light of the candle or the flame on that cupcake or that cake. I saw the light on that cupcake of the goal of 1 year, which was burning inside of me. That light was not just burning in front of me to blow out. That light was burning inside of me to stoke with oxygen, to stoke with my breath, to allow to grow within me. But I have to tell you something. It took me 25 years to really understand what that fire meant, what it was to be sober, what it was to be whole, what it was to live in my soul and in my feet and in my being and my body and in and who I am. And that's spinning in my head over the life that I thought I should have had or the life I don't have. I hope. And that's what many people in recovery do. They sit and they spin about the things they don't have, the things they didn't get, the things they could have had, the things they should have. Forget all that. Have you eaten today? Do you have a roof over your head? You know, have you had a drink today? Have you had a needle today? Have you had a toke today? And if you haven't, I have an old friend of sobriety who's a comedian. His name is I can't tell you what his name is, but his first name starts with K, and his last name ends with Davis. And he always says, and if you haven't had a drink today, and you have a roof over your house today, and you haven't stuck a needle in your arm, and you've eaten today, and you're sober today, you're tied for first place. And I like that. I'm tied for first place. And there's people who in recovery who say that time doesn't matter. Well, I'm here to tell you that time matters because I am sober over 25 years, and that matters to me. It matters to the people that I haven't killed. It matters to the people that I haven't run into with my car, because I had car accidents when I was drunk, and I should have been dead, and somebody didn't die, and somebody probably could have. I hope. And I'm telling you this because I am standing in the power of my voice, the power of my soul. I'm standing in the power of not having any shame for the things that I have done and the things that I have lived through and survived. There is no shame in these things. And once you let go of the shame, you can have a beautiful life. Once you let go of the self-doubt, you can have a beautiful life. Once you let go of the self-loathing, you can have a beautiful life. And why not? It's here for the taking. It's here for the giving. It's here for the getting. And I am so happy. And I'm sorry that I wasted any of those 25 years in sobriety doing something spinning, that I've wasted time spinning about things that I couldn't do anything about. You know, I love my life, and has it been rough? Has it been perfect? No, it hasn't been perfect. But guess what? It's my life, and I'm happy. And I'm even happy about the marriage that went away and divorce. All three of them. You know, my present ex, my wife that I'm getting divorced from right now, we have to communicate every now and again. And as much as I don't want to talk to her, text with her, I have to. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but I'm willing to live through the discomfort to get to point B. Because in August, this marriage is going to be over. There is going to be no more marriage. You know, am I proud of that? No. Am I ashamed of that? No. You know, because I learned a lot, and I wish I could have done more for her. Sorry, I couldn't. You know, I wish I could have done more for myself. Sorry, I couldn't. But there's, you know, I get a shot every day. Every morning I wake up, you know, every morning I wake up. So how are you willing to live your sobriety? And are you going to live your sobriety in a way that's good for you, and or in a way that's dark and demeaning and spinning in your head and, you know, running around like Chicken Little complaining about what it is you didn't get today, not getting yours? You know, you got today. That's all you get. What are you going to make of it? What am I going to make of it? Oh, my name's Anthony Rodriguez. This is the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. And you can call into this show at 713-955-0332. And you can ask a question. You can get a healing. Do you have a burning desire to say something? Do you want to talk about sobriety? Do you want to talk about healing? Do you want to call me on the carpet? Oh, there you go. Because I'm willing to stand on that carpet and stand in the heat. Because I know what the heat feels like. I breathe in oxygen, I breathe in air, and I stoke the fire within me that burns within. And I know what the heat feels like on the inside, and I know what the heat feels like on the outside. What do you know about the heat? Call me and let me know. 713-955-0332. Push 1 to get out of listen mode, and let the producer know that you want to speak to the host. Me, Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow. All right. So I went to a meeting on Sunday. I go to a meeting almost every Sunday. I like to, at least. And I didn't go to this meeting for a long time. And one of the things that happens at meetings, sometimes you forget that you say things. And I had mentioned to a man that I met 5 years ago when I moved to Highland Park at a Monday night meeting that I was, my wife and I were splitting up, and it was going to be over. And then, I didn't go back to that meeting for about 3 months. And I came back, and he pulled me aside. He said, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy to see you. He says, when you told me that your marriage was over, he said, I was really concerned about you. He says, and then I didn't see you again. He said, here you are. He says, I know you're okay. And because I can walk out of that particular meeting and not go to that meeting or any meeting for 3 months, that says something for my foundation. My foundation in the 12-step program, my foundation in Alcoholics Anonymous. All those years that I was going to 7 meetings a day and working with others and going to jails and going to institutions and taking groups and panels to places, to sobriety houses, and being around sober people and learning how to live in my body and my feet and my soul in sobriety served me as a foundation that I'm sure that today I'm not going to drink. I know that. And should I be predicting that? Probably not. But guess what? I didn't drink yesterday either. And I know I didn't drink last week, last month, last year, So I have a great foundation. And I'm always talking about being rooted in where I am, being rooted in where I am in my life, being grounded, being in my foundation, being in my safety, being in my security. Are you in your safety and your security? Are you in your foundation? And are you creating a solid, good foundation in your sobriety with the people that you surround yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with, and are you sponsored by somebody that is validating your nonsense? You hear what I said? Are you surrounding yourself with people, newcomers and new timers and sponsors that validate your nonsense? Because I'm going to tell you something. My sponsor didn't validate my nonsense. He always called me on the carpet on my stuff. And I have sponsored very few people. In fact, a handful of people over 25 years of sobriety. There's nothing that says that you have to sponsor people. But there's people that don't want to be sponsored by me. And there's been lots of them because I don't listen to their nonsense. I will not validate the nonsense that comes out of their mouth, the spinning, darkness, the sky is falling, the blah, 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 blah. But you don't understand. I understand. I understand that you don't understand, that I understand because you completely don't understand. I understand. And that's what's come with 25 years of sobriety. The wisdom of understanding, the wisdom of knowing, the wisdom of being in my sobriety, the wisdom of being in my foundation, my root. Step 1, I am powerless over alcohol. My life has become unmanageable, and my life has become unmanageable. I know what it's like to not be able to manage my life. I know that fully and wholly. I know what that's like. That's called surrender. And I have surrendered to a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I have transformed from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And I have recovered from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And you can too, if you're willing to. I would love to name the names of the people that I'm watching spin. It's like watching Wheel of Fortune. And you keep losing, hitting that sound. You don't have to be the guy that loses. You can be somebody, the guy or the girl or the person who gets it, who really has that moment of serenity, who really has that powerful moment with great Creator or God or whatever you want to call it, on Mateo, say Krishna. Radha Govind, whatever you want to call your God. You can call it doorknob for all I care. You can have that moment with that, and you can be in your Christ nature, in your sobriety. You can be in your Judaism, in your Christ nature. You can be with your, you can be a Muslim in your sobriety, excuse me. And you can be in your Hinduism, in your sobriety. What do you want to be with, and how do you want to be with it in your sobriety? Can you stay sober? Do you need to be sober? Do you need to get sober? And that's another thing. Not everybody in Alcoholics Anonymous is an alcoholic, and that's really obvious when they open their mouth. You know, I'm a firm believer that not everybody needs to be in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, and we can't get too far into the ego of that either, because you know, in my marriage, my wife said to me, "You're not like a real alcoholic, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And you don't do, and you don't, and you know what? Guess what? I believe that." And I started to hear that, and well, you know, if you're going through divorce, an alcoholic, you have to ask yourself what happened. And I did ask myself what happened. I started to listen to that nonsense. I started to listen to that lip service, that double talk. And I started to pay myself that lip service, that double talk. When will you become willing to stop paying yourself lip service and double talk and actually work towards a more sober life? To work towards a sober life. Sometimes working towards a more sober life is just being still. Do you know how to sit still? I can't tell you how many times I went to a meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning and somebody walked up and said, "Oh my gosh, you know, the radio KF is on since 3 o'clock in the morning and blah, 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 and it's freaking out." I'm like, "No, what's the matter with you? It's only 7 o'clock in the morning. Don't you have any practices that you do to bring you right here, right now? Bring your feet, bring you into a peaceful place?" You know, when I first got sober in my early sobriety, I lived alone, and I would get home and I would turn on the radio, I would turn on all the lights, I would turn on the television, and I would get on the phone. And I would do those things because I didn't know how to be by myself, be with myself. I had no idea, you know, and I had to learn how to be with myself in Alcoholics Anonymous, in sobriety. I had to learn how to be in my silence as I was driving my car. I had to learn how to be in my silence as I was sleeping at night, as I was resting, as I was praying. I had to learn how to pray. And I was willing to go to any length to do what I needed to do to get sober and stay sober. Now, I got to tell you something. My life now, you know, my life now is pretty incredible. And, you know, I never have the thought of drinking. It's not something that crosses my mind. But I have a lot of other ways of living that I'd like to do, and ways of being. You know, sometimes we have issues with anger. Sometimes we have issues with sadness. Sometimes we have issues with depression. Sometimes we have issues with anxiety. And that's something I'm going to talk about. Sometimes we have issues with sadness. You know, alcoholism doesn't create these things, you know, and that's something that I took to pass. That rubbed me the wrong way when I heard this newcomer say, you know, alcoholism creates anxiety. Alcoholism does not create anxiety. It does not create sadness. It does not create depression. It does not create all those things. Those things create alcoholism. Because when you don't know how to cope with depression, when you don't know how to be where you are in your anxiety, when you're stressed out about things you have no control over, you reach out for something sometimes, you know. And sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a priest, sometimes it's a cleric, sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's a prayer, sometimes it's getting on your knees, sometimes. But when you don't know how to cope or how to deal, or you have this live in shame and you don't know how to reach out to somebody, sometimes you reach out for alcohol. Sometimes you reach out for hard drugs. Sometimes you reach out for the pot. Sometimes you reach out for a pizza, all slices of a pizza. You know, what is it that you reach out for? And if you don't know how to reach out for something better than what you're accustomed to, reach out to me at 713-955-0332. Or you can call my office at 818-442-1717. Or send me an email at Anthony@sacreddrummedicine.com, or reach out to the internet and you can look up this URL at sacreddrum23.weebly.com and learn about what it is that I do and how I can help you, because I can help you. I have the experience, and I speak from experience. I just don't make stuff up because I think I can, because I'm a newcomer. I hope. No, I'm an old-timer. I'm what people call a crusty old-timer. And there are people that I hang out with in sobriety who have sometimes 10, 15, 20 years on me in sobriety. And that's an amazing experience to be with people like that, you know? People like that, wow, they amaze me. They're still here and they're still doing it. And they stand in what they say. I hope they stand in their truth. Do I agree with all of it? No, I don't have to agree with all of it. I take the parts that work for me and let the rest go, because sometimes the rest will make you nuts. And the rest will make you crazy. You know, different strokes for different folks. And the shirt of recovery, of the 12-step recovery, is a loose shirt. It's not, you know, it's not one size fits all. It's a loose shirt. And I guess it would be one size fits all. That's how big it is. That's a big shirt. Anyway, so 713-955-0332. Give us a call. I know that I can see that a lot of you are listening. And if you're sitting there listening and you're like, you go to push the button, you don't push the button, you go to push the button, you don't push the button, push the button. Push one. And let me know what you have to say, you know, because if you're listening on your phone or you're listening on the computer, you know, say hello, you know. We would love to hear from you. I would love to be able to do a reading for you. I would love to be able to walk you through whatever it is you need to walk through, or at least help you. You know. And like people helped me, there was many who helped me, and I learned how to reach out. You know, I remember when I was unemployed once in sobriety, and a friend of mine handed me $20. In fact, his name was Jonathan. Jonathan passed away from cancer a few years back, quite a few years back. And I miss Jonathan. He was a funny guy. He was a sweet guy. And he was somebody who struggled with sobriety. But he was a giving man, and he was a loving man. And one day he saw that I was down and out in that way, and he handed me $20. He said, "I know you need it." He said, don't say no." He said, "Just take it." And those are the kind of things that happen in sobriety. They happen in regular life. But they happen in sobriety, and those that are allowed to see us, because they begin to trust us, and they begin to love us, and they begin to want to be around us. And we begin to want to be around them. We begin to trust them. And we begin to like them and love them as we begin to like and love ourselves. Man, oh man. Sitting here thinking about my sobriety, my recovery, you know, sometimes I want to cry, because there's people in my family who I would have liked for them to have had this experience of sobriety. My father was a good example. I only knew my father drinking. I only knew my father drunk, and I didn't know my father any other way. And did my father love me? Probably. Did my father love me? He could have. Did my father love me? Not really sure, because he never said anything. He never told me. But he was always there for me. And he was one of those people that would slip me 20. My father was always slipping me $20, because that was him. And that was the way he told. I guess that was his way of telling me that he loved me. But he would slip me a 20. He wouldn't slip me a 5. He would slip me a 20. And, you know, not on that was all right. Despite him, you know, not being able to stay sober, stop drinking for any more time. Now, there's those in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll use Alcoholics Anonymous as an example, because, you know, I don't have experience in Narcotics Anonymous or Marijuana Anonymous, but I do have experience in Cocaine Anonymous. We won't talk about that. After all, it was the 80s. And my father, God bless him, couldn't get sober, couldn't stay sober, and I loathed his drinking. I really loathed it. And I know that when he passed away, not back in 1991, September 6th, I watched him, and I knew. Well, I watched him. He had cancer of the lungs, cancer of the liver, cancer. He had heart disease, and he put that plug right into his fifth chakra expression. So he never expressed himself. And he had a broken heart, fifth chakra, heart, lungs, air. I love him, love. And third chakra, fire, flavor, low self-esteem, no self-esteem. He had that liver cancer, and the lung cancer, and heart disease. And when I found energy healing, and I was sober, and I was changing my life, and one more time I was going to try something different, outside of sobriety. And I found energy healing, and I stepped into it. I realized why my father had died. And I'm not saying that if he would have gotten sober, he wouldn't have died from those things, from a broken heart, because he died really, all of a sudden, he died from heart failure. And maybe life had failed him, because I know this was really abused. And he died from a broken heart. His heart stopped. And he died alone at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I really believe that he chose to die that way and at that time, without us around, because he was a proud man. That earlier, 12 hours earlier, I was at the hospital with him, and he had just, a proud man, soiled himself, and they cleaned him up, and they made him walk, and he was in pain. He didn't want to walk, and he was angry. And when they brought him back to his bed, I was sitting in the room. I stayed with him, and I stayed with him until he fell asleep. I would show up every day and watch Bonanza and Little House and play with him. Now you folks are going on this ride with me right here, right now, with emotion. Because I haven't felt this emotion with regard to this particular death in a lifetime, years. So I leave when he finally falls asleep, and then at 1 o'clock in the morning, probably about 12:30, I get a phone call that he had expired, and he had passed. So I had to run to the hospital. Get there to be with my mom, my brothers and sisters. Oh boy. And the rest of my family, my mom's brothers and aunts, my aunts and everybody. And it was sad, and but what I learned all the years later when I started working in energy was I wasn't gonna die that way. If my sound is muffled, I apologize. I just was having a moment, and I was having a moment. So I found out years later, I understood why he died and what it was in the energy body that he was blocked, where it was in the energy body that he wasn't able to speak, where it was in the energy body that he had no esteem, where it was in the energy body where he did not feel love or that capacity to love. And I understood that I was not going to die this way, especially being sober. Now, I wasn't sober when he died. I wasn't sober yet. It was, 90 days later that I got sober. But I got to tell you, I understood clearly why my father was diseased, diseased, and why he drank. He drank over the pain that he couldn't do anything about. He drank over the abuses that he suffered, physical, verbal, sexual abuses that he suffered. So he drank. And he drank for a lifetime. My father drank as long as I knew him, And God bless my father. But he was a good man. He was a good man who suffered. And there's a lot of men out there who are like that. They don't know how to let go of the dark secrets. A friend of mine, Candace, a friend of hers, her best friend, her father passed recently, and he had different kinds of cancers in his body, but he had been sober a long time. He was able to let go of the alcoholism and all of those things, but he wasn't able to let go of those other things, those other dark secrets, those other deep secrets that sometimes we just don't know how to handle. Those are the things we drink over. But when we take away the alcohol, what do you fill that void with? What can you fill that void with? I'm here to tell you that you can fill it with something. You can fill the letting go of the angst, the letting go of the anxiety, letting go of the stress, letting go of the hurt, letting go of the shame, letting go of the pain, letting go of the abuses that have happened in your life. You can let go of those things and fill those empty spaces with love, nurturing, caring, understanding of others, and yourself. You can give yourself something new. I chose weeks ago to give myself happiness where I had let go of some things in my life. And what was it that I want to manifest? I manifested happiness. And I've been, man, you know what? Since I made that decision, I've been pretty happy. I've been pretty happy, I don't lash out at anybody. I don't bark at anybody. I don't bite anybody, and I'm pretty happy. And I'm a pretty salty dog. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a pretty salty dog. Well, you might not know that, but I'm a pretty salty dog, and I'm telling you, and I just have to learn how to lighten up, So I want to live a happy life. So I fill that void with those things in me with happiness and kindness and love for others. And when I give others kindness and happiness and love for others, I'm giving that stuff to myself as well, because I deserve to have those things for myself. And I want to thank those who reach back and give those things back to me. I'm not asking you for those things back, but I get those things back because I choose to love. Only for today, I choose to love. Only for today, I choose to care. Only for today, I choose to be with you, to reach out. Only for today, I choose not to drink, not to anesthetize a broken heart, or not a broken heart. This is what I choose. This is what I choose. I choose life today. I choose love today. I choose nurture. I choose caring. I choose compassion. Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin. I love Kuan Yin. And I don't want to get sidetracked by her. But Kuan Yin came to me while I was working on a friend of mine, energetically. I was doing a Zoom session, and she was in the room, and I was like, I didn't understand who she was or what she was doing or where she had come from. I literally had to do a Google search on this image that I saw. And because somebody said, look up the Ascended Masters, and I looked up the Ascended Masters, and it was Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin has been with me ever since that day. And I don't know if she showed up in my friend that I was working on, or she showed up in me, but she's been with me every day since then, because now I understand that it is to be compassionate to others, compassionate to myself, compassionate to my soul. Living in compassion is not easy in today's world. All you have to do is log on to social media or CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or one of those places, and you see how incompassionate or uncompassionate souls are with each other. And I want to be a man of my soul. I want to be a happy person and bring happiness into your life. Not make you happy, but bring my happiness into your life, so we can share the happiness that you have in your life. We can build on that. 713-955-0332 is the call number. Push 1 to speak to me, your host, and let me know what you have to say. You're listening to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with me, your host, Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crook. So today I went to the mountain, and I went to the mountain to release somebody's soul. my friend Lisa lost her father last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't really read social media or on Facebook. I try not to do that because there's so much crap on there. I don't need to be filling my cup with poison or drinking poison. But I did reach out to her yesterday and let her know that I was going to go to the mountain today and release her soul. And I knew I was going to go up to the mountain today and gather sage and sing and do these things. And I did that. I mean, I got up early this morning. I went out and got a cup of coffee and a bite. And by 7 a.m., I was on the mountain doing that. But while I was up there, I had an experience while I was there. And one of the biggest experiences was the sun. It was foggy. You know, we have the June gloom here in Los Angeles, where in May and June, in the morning it's overcast and it's foggy, and then it clears up. Well, the sun was starting to break over the San Gabriel Mountains, and I was able to take the most incredible picture, which is posted on Facebook. And if you want to go on Facebook, you can see that. There's 2 of them. And just the way that the sun was, that I was being greeted by Grandfather's sun was amazing to me. So I made my way up the mountain and to where I normally do ceremony, where I gather sage. There's 4 trees there, and so I purposely go there. And I can hear all my little brothers and sisters of the air singing from the trees and singing from different places. And whether they're crows or parrots or finches or doves or owls or hawks, didn't matter. I could hear them and I was in my bliss. And as I was doing what I was doing, there was a city truck of some sort moving about and making noise, and literally feet from me. And I kept doing what I was doing, and I got to the point where I was actually singing songs and praying and honoring all our relations, I hope. And I'm telling you this because I'm a sober man and I live a sober life. And when I was done, I was making my way down the mountain. Now, I didn't turn around to see what the truck was that was behind me. But when I was walking down the hill, the truck was coming up, and it was a dump truck of some sort. They were cleaning plants and trees, you know, just old stuff, chaparral and stuff. And the man stopped me. He said, "Hey, I tried not to bother you." He said, "I know you were doing some sort of something." And he didn't want to, I could tell he wanted to ask what I was doing, but he didn't. And he said, "You know, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry for interrupting you." I said, "Well, then I hear the noise. I just pretend like it's not happening, like it's not there, because the noise in my silence is part of my silence. And I really feel that way." And then I told him who I was and what I was doing. That I was gathering the medicine, that I was doing the soul release. He asked me if I was Native American. I said, "Yes, partly. You know, I'm a mother's son." And so I offered him a smudge stick, because I tied it up there. I didn't bring it with me. And he smiled, and I looked up at him, and he was wearing, you know, a hard hat, and he was smiling, and he was excited to have a conversation with me, because he knew that I was doing something. And the love of the thing that I was doing is that I wasn't doing something for me. I was doing something for others, for my friend Lisa. I was doing something for those that I'm going to see on Saturday with the metaphysical and artisans for them. I was doing something for those folks because I'm gathering medicines for them, for their need on Saturday. You know, I was praying for the people in my life. And sure, yeah, okay, I was praying for myself. But I was honoring those in my life and those around me. And I could tell that this man was honored by what I was doing. And he honored me by just sharing his big smile with me. You know, he stopped working. He wanted to jump out of that truck. And I didn't let him. I tried to say, "Hey," I got to go. You know, he wanted to jump out of the truck and have a conversation with me. It was such a blessing to be able to be acknowledged, honored that I was able to have that conversation with him. If I was drunk, if I was loaded, if I would have been sleeping till noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I couldn't wake up and being passed out through the night before, I would have missed that experience. I would have never have had that experience. I wouldn't have had any of the experiences that I've had over the last 25, almost 26 years. I wouldn't have. But because I chose life, but because I chose love, because I chose compassion and nurturance for myself, I get to experience these things that I am seeing in a different light. I'm not that guy passed out in the bushes, passed out in the car, crashing my car, wearing handcuffs on the side of the road, wearing handcuffs to a bench in the drunk tank. I speak from experience. I know what those things are. I'm not proud of that. I'm not ashamed of it either, but it's part of my experience. And that's why I do this show. That's why the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show is on the air. Because I have the experience that can help others. I have the experience that can maybe save somebody's life. It saves mine. It saves mine. You know? I don't know if anybody needs or wants my help. Don't know. And I really don't care. Because whether you do or don't, I'm here and I have a voice and I share the vibration of coming out of the darkness of my mind and being in my body and being in my root, being in my connection with others, connection to Mother Earth. I hope being in my fire, my fuego, being in my heart, and being in the vibration of my voice and speaking of creative spirit, speaking of love, speaking of those things that I know of in my sixth chakra, in the third eye, that I absolutely know. And speaking of those things that are given to me from Creator Great Spirit through the seventh crown chakra, our whole universe, all knowing, all being. And I get to experience a different kind of life. You can experience a different kind of life. Are you willing to experience a different kind of life? Are you willing to give yourself something different? Are you willing to listen? Are you willing to listen? When you take the cotton out of your ears and you put it in your mouth, I am not a firm believer of sit down, shut up, and listen to me. I don't believe in that. It's not the big book anymore. It's not any of the literature and of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's a lot of old timers like me who like to say that stuff. But the big book tells me that the meetings are for the newcomers to bring their problems, bring your voice. Be it all joy, my brethren. Bring it, and give yourself a free life. Give yourself free reign. Give yourself free love. And stand with us in sobriety. Stand with us in sharing your voice, sharing your sobriety. Oh. Wow. An hour has already gone by. And I always want to bring a host on this show, or hosts. And I laugh because it's like, when they're going to get a word in edgewise, I'm always talking. Right, Tiffany? I'm always talking. But I will. I need to start having some hosts. And I'd like to bring people in from recovery. And I would like to bring people in from different places and share their experience of how it is the life that they live. What is the life that they live? I want to thank everybody who's listening for coming to another edition of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow. This has been a show about recovery and letting go of the fragile ego, letting go and coming into recovery in a good way. I want to thank the blessed and the honorable and the beautiful Reverend Tiffany White Sage Woman for allowing me to share my voice on this frequency, on Blog Talk Radio through Goldilocks Production. I'm going to be sharing this broadcast later on today or tomorrow. So please take it and share it with those who you think may need to hear it, with those who you think may need to hear my voice. I know you have an email list. I know you have 100,000 friends on Facebook and in Instagram. And I would ask that you would share this link and share my voice with those who are out there who may be in need. And even if they're not in need, maybe they just need to be uplifted for a day. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and this is the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show, saying thank you for coming and have a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. and have a beautiful, beautiful week. I hope. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
At Boar's Head, we place a premium on authenticity, and the home-roasted flavor of our Ever-Roast chicken is no exception. Inspired by a medley of ingredients from the garden, a family recipe, and slow-roasted craft. It's the authentic taste of home and the unmatched quality of Boar's Head. Ever-Roast chicken, sliced fresh at the deli, only from Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere. At Boar's Head, we place a premium on authenticity, and the home-roasted flavor of our Ever-Roast chicken is no exception. Inspired by a medley of ingredients from the garden, a family recipe, and slow-roasted craft. It's the authentic taste of home and the unmatched quality of Boar's Head. Ever-Roast chicken, sliced fresh at the deli, only from Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere.